Hey, BA fam. Woo. I don't know about y'all, but I just really need like a quick woo. What can I even say? All right, it's Friday, February 21st, and I am freezing my you-know-what off here in New York. But as always, I love sitting down and digging into y'all's questions. They feel like little letters from pen pals all over the country, and I just adore them. So thank y'all again for submitting your questions. You can submit your question on IG, hit us up at Brown Ambition Podcast, or you can send me an email. Highly recommended if you are a more long-winded writer like I am, and you really had trouble like getting everything out on that little tiny screen on IG. Email me, brownambitionpodcast@gmail.com. So before I get into today's questions, y'all know we got to take our salt shakers out. I'm not your attorney. I'm not your financial planner. I'm not your marriage counselor. I'm not your regular counselor. I'm not a therapist. Basically, I'm just your homegirl on the internet who y'all trust with some of your most vulnerable secrets and fears and desires. And I don't take that for granted at all. So I am here to give you my best answer. But at the end of the day, we call it infotainment for a reason. All right. You really want to take what I'm saying with a grain of salt and always stay true to yourself and whatever your personal advisors tell you, who know more about your day-to-day situation and the intricate details of everything y'all got going on. Quick shout out to the Read podcast. I think I'm a geriatric podcaster, but Kid Fury and Crystal are the OGs. They just celebrated their 12th anniversary. And I've always wanted to go see them live when they do their live shows. And Tiffany and I made it happen. We went to the live show, and before that, we had the most incredible sushi dinner and girl talk. And even though it was disgusting and rainy and cold, it was such a fun time. And yeah, 10 out of 10. I love Kid Fury and Crystal. I only understand like 75% of the topics they discuss, but I'm there for their rapport, for their chemistry, for their authenticity. And my girl Crystal was on fire, y'all. She is hilarious. I know Kid Fury is the comedian, but she is just a treat, a joy, a gift, as is he. And I love, and this is just a sign for you to make that plan with a girlfriend and don't cancel, even if the weather is bad. It was sleeting. It was like 20 something degrees. We each had to schlep Tiffany from Newark, me from Westchester to the Upper West Side. Y'all, make it happen. It wasn't comfortable. It wasn't convenient, but it was one of those things that you just know once you're there sitting across from that person that you're going to be so glad you carved out the time. And Tiff and I have said how important it is to us to like nurture relationships and show up for each other. And you know what? Show up on time. Like we were both there on time. Okay, to be fair, Tiffany did go to the wrong restaurant on the Upper East Side, and I was all the way across town, the Upper West Side, but she still gets points for showing up there on time, even though it was the wrong side of town. Oh, man. But just your sign to make those plans with your friends. And I know how it is the day of when it's like bad weather or you're tired or you had a really shit day and you're looking at your calendar and you're like, this is my homegirl. This is my really good friend. I've known her for years and years and years. It's not like this one dinner, this one girl date is going to make or break our friendship. It's not like if I cancel, she still won't love me. And in fact, she'll totally understand. Do it anyway. Just go through with it. Whether you're traveling 5 minutes or 5 hours, just show up for your people, make that plan, especially in the dark days of winter when we are all cold. Even though we want to stay in our houses and curl up and no one talk to us and let's go into hibernation, and that is totally valid and fine, poke your little head out. Poke your head out this week or next week. Make a little plan, a little coffee, a little cozy something, and reconnect with a friend that you haven't seen this winter. I don't know how many questions I'm going to do today. BA fam, the job market is on everyone's minds lately. We already knew the job market was kind of crazy, but In these unprecedented times with Voldemort in office, I can't tell you, ever since the episode I posted where I shared about my husband having his job offer rescinded from a federal agency, despite his nearly 2-decade career in civil service of tens of thousands of federal employees, I think it's an estimated 75,000 at this point have been let go from their jobs. And that's not counting the number of people whose offers have been rescinded. Thoughts and prayers to everybody who's been impacted. And I don't like being right. I mean, that's a damn lie. I really do enjoy being right, but I done told y'all no job is secure, not even government jobs. And that could not be more true than now. So honestly, if you're in a federal job right now and you're worried, you should be. Like, I'm not even going to try to sugarcoat it. You absolutely should be. It doesn't seem like anyone is safe if you happen to work for the wrong agency, if you happen to be in the crosshairs of this covert team of efficiency czars led by our proxy president, Elon Musk. I say his name and I'm sorry. But yeah, as this Doge organization comes through and makes their cuts to all these different agencies, I really do think that y'all should be worried. But at the same time, nothing for me has changed. I've always said that no job is stable. And I've always said that not meaning to terrify or to make y'all scared, but just to give you the right perspective on how to plan your career, that you shouldn't rely on an outside organization for job stability, that we should be creating our own financial and career stability to our best ability. I would be saving as much as you possibly can right now, paying down your debt right now. I would be leaning on each other for support. And when I say each other, I mean friends, colleagues, peers. Don't let your fear or your anxiety be something that you carry alone. We're all going through it. And it's not just federal government, right? I mean, Meta just laid off 4,000 people and said it was performance review based. And I'm actually really proud of the workers who have been speaking out and sending receipts, sharing the receipts of their performance reviews that have said that they've met or exceeded expectations and been like, this is BS. This is a cop-out. The fact that they released a statement saying that this was performance-based, that is the biggest fear when you're let go, is that a recruiter or a hiring manager is going to see that you were let go or hear that you've been let go and assume it's because you're not a great performer. Meta literally just did that, made it so much worse. Maybe you could talk yourself out of it in the past, but now Meta's like, oh no, yeah, for sure. This 4,000 people, if you see their names pop up, they were our lowest performers. And I think these people are right to defend themselves. And I think it's a good sign for you if y'all have praise from management, if you have recommendation letters, save it to your computer, take a screenshot of those praise emails that you get from people on your team, take a screenshot and download your performance review records so that you have them and you own them individually. Get those receipts back yourself. So job market continues to be wild. Okay, let's get into the question this week. Now, with everything I've said, not surprisingly, we've heard from a couple of VA listeners who have been impacted by what's happening in the government right now. And so I'm going to prioritize their questions because, yep, I know you're going through it, y'all. Okay, this question comes from Bree, who says, hey, Mandi, unfortunately, I was laid off from my job at a nonprofit 3 weeks ago. Luckily, the writing was on the wall, so I micro-pivoted, as you say, during my last year there and got certified as a Pilates instructor, so I have some part-time work to fall back on. Things have gotten pretty tricky in my industry in the last week, though, due to the federal administration changes. I work in public health research and was recently offered a research position with the VA that was rescinded due to these changes. My question is, should I prepare to pivot fully outside of this industry? And how can I find positions that match my skills outside of the governmental space, especially because I'm hesitant to go back into the nonprofit world with my recent experience? Thank you for all your help and holding it down with the podcast. We really appreciate you. Bree. I'm so sorry. Those are two things. First, public health. Oh my God, with RFK in the position of health secretary, and I don't even think that he was confirmed when you sent this question in because it was earlier in the year, but he's confirmed now. And if you weren't shaking in your boots, you definitely are now. And on top of that, that's your area of focus is public health. It's yet to be seen what's going to happen to like the National Institutes of Health, the Center for Disease Control, like these federal institutions that are here to give us the tools and resources to understand what's happening in the public health sector. There's a measles outbreaks right now. We got bird flu going on. Like it's, it ain't cute out here in public health. And yeah, I just want to acknowledge that. I do think fully pivoting outside of this industry as far as the nonprofit. So you were let go 3 weeks ago. I hope you are on unemployment benefits so that you have some additional financial income. How long those benefits last are going to vary by your state. So you can look that up at your state's Department of Labor. At this point, I don't know if you should pivot completely out of the public health industry. And also, I know that you talk about you're not really wanting to go back to the nonprofit because of your experience there. And now federal government has thrown you out on your behind. And I just want to reiterate that whether it's public sector, private sector, nonprofit, for-profit, this is a capitalistic economy, and every organization in their own way is a capitalist organization. And that just means that labor, people, humans are dispensable, disposable, replaceable, and definitely expendable. So if you sort of change your mindset to, like, as my therapist says, radically accept the reality, which is that, all right, no matter where I go, at the end of the day, I am an employee here. It's at will employment, and they can cut my behind anytime that they want to. Doesn't matter. And even if there's federal laws to protect you, it looks like that doesn't matter anymore either. So yeah, I just want to readjust your perspective around that. And then I'll say, what skills are transferable to other industries? I don't think you should limit yourself. I think you should cast a wide net. We need people who are in public health research more than ever. Maybe there is work you can do at the university level. There are health companies that are looking for people with data analysis skills. You work in public health research, so I'm guessing that you are not scared of a pivot table. You understand how to look at vast swaths of data and break them down and analyze them and tell a story with that data. And that's a really marketable skill. And you could be useful to a lot of organizations. So I don't want to discourage you. I want you to keep pushing, Bree, and then keep building your financial and professional resiliency. You've got that Pilates instructor certification. Are you thinking about setting up an LLC? I would consider that, because then you could, take advantage of small business tax credits. And the unfortunate/fortunate thing about our current administration is that they love giving tax breaks to businesses. So maybe the tax code will become even more generous for business owners. But for now, you could create an LLC, and it doesn't mean the money doesn't come out of your pocket, but it does mean that you could potentially reduce your taxable income come tax time by having an LLC and categorizing these different expenses as part of that business, right? Of course, you want to consult a tax advisor, CPA, whoever that may be, before you set up an LLC, and make sure you're doing it properly. But at the end of the day, it's not a bad move to make, especially if you want to have this fallback plan of your Pilates instruction as a career path, as a potential source of income moving forward. All right, girl. Thank you so much for your question. Stay strong, hang in there. And I really appreciate you taking the time to send your question in. All right, VA fam, I'm back with another question from listener E, who sent an email, and my heart's just breaking for you, E. And I'm just really glad that you sent this question. I bet you felt a little bit relieved even just getting this off your chest. But let's get into your question, all right? E says, "Hey Mandi, I'm turning 29 on February 5th. And all I keep thinking about is the poor decisions I made in my early 20s around my finances. I've never been a savvy budget girl, and I maxed out a couple of credit cards in the past and never paid the bills. So the accounts were closed and sent to collections. I've been paying on the cards and collections going on 3 years now, on top of paying 2 card notes due to totaling my first car while I didn't have insurance. I'm at a point in my life where I have learned from my mistakes and horrible, horrible bill-paying habits. A lot of what I did back then is largely significant today, and it shows up all up and down my credit score and credit report. I have a 1-year-old baby, and I'm at a point in my life where I'd like to start thinking about being a homeowner. I'd love to travel more. I'd love to pour into my son more and live a financially free life where debt isn't eating up all my money. But I just can't because the decisions I made are still haunting me. I work full-time as a social worker at the VA, and I have side gigs that help support me. I need insight. What do you have to say to people like me whose younger self dug themselves into a black hole that feels impossible to escape? What budgeting and finance habits should I be focusing on right now? Should I spend extra money to hire a financial advisor or no? I am #over it. Thank you so much. Oh, girl. Nothing like getting to the eve of your 30s to really make you look back on your life and be really critical of yourself. I mean, I think this is so relatable. I think no matter where you're at in your life, any 29-year-old would tell you that there's things that they wish they had done differently, and sort of looking ahead at the next decade and, I don't know, comparing yourself to the version that you thought you would be, of yourself in your 30s. And the real thing about, coming into your 30s too is that, yep, it does seem like your friends are all getting married and buying houses and, excelling in their careers and moving up, and everyone's got it all figured out. But I just want you to know, you are so not alone. And I just want you to give yourself grace. Like, you're turning 29 in 2025. That means during the pandemic, you were in your early 20s, girl. Like, I'm going to say 25, 24 is still your early 20s. And that was a crazy, crazy time in this country. I hope that you are taking time to just enjoy being a mama. And honestly, I bet there's people who are 39 turning 40 and they wish they had gone and had a baby when they were 29 and got it out of the way. I know, as crazy as that sounds, get it out of the way. But seriously, it's hard. When you're in your late 30s, early 40s, trying to start a family then, I mean, yes, it can be a little bit easier if you are more financially stable and all of that, but you're tired, honey. The body is breaking down. I'm not even 40 yet, and the way that I was in pain after I took my son to a trampoline park a few days ago. My hip still is not hipping the way that it should. I'm still limping when I have to get up from a chair. When I get up from this chair I'm recording in right now, I know I'm going to have to do a quick little hip stretch because my hip joint was just not having it. And also, this is a good time to warn y'all, do not jump into the foam pit if you are over the age of 7 years old. You will fear for your life. You will beg for help, and people may not hear you because it's too loud in those trampoline parks, and there is nothing to grab hold of. There is nothing to give you purchase or a point of leverage to get your big adult behind out of that thing, and you will regret it 100%. I digress. You have to forgive the girl in your 20s. Maybe she did the best she could with the information that she had. Maybe she made some mistakes. And yes, you are paying for those mistakes now, but you can either accept it and say, this is my situation and this is going to be temporary and I will get out of this, or you can keep beating yourself up about it. And I really hope that you choose the first option because you deserve it. Your little boy deserves a happy mama. And I just want you to forgive yourself, okay? Now, I know what it's like when you have a young kid, and baby, even though I am older in a different situation right now, I too get caught up in how many things you can purchase for your child, how many activities, and should I get my son a reading tutor? Is he getting enough at kindergarten? And it's winter break right now. I'm holding it down here while I have the book deadline and other things to focus on. And I'm going to trampoline parks. I'm going to the aquarium. I'm spending like $100 a day to keep this child entertained. It's not cheap. And just know that the only thing that baby needs, and he is only 1 year old. I don't know why I'm assuming it's a boy, but that baby is only one. All they want is their mama. They want you to be a soft beanbag chair, snuggle them, and let them watch Miss Rachel and build blocks and give lots of kisses and watch them walk around like little drunk tiny humans and try not to fall down and kiss their boo-boos if they do fall down. And that's really all you need to do, mama. And a happier mama, a happiest mama, the happiest version of yourself that you can be for your baby is honestly the best thing you can do. And you're going to get to that happiest version of yourself when you stop beating yourself up for the mistakes you made in your 20s. Okay. We've all maxed out a couple of credit cards. A lot of people have forgotten to pay a bill or been unable to pay a bill, had accounts closed or sent off to collections. Now you've been paying cards that have been in collections for going on 3 years now. I just wonder if it's with a third-party debt collector who has purchased the debt from the original creditor. So let's say you had a Victoria's Secret credit card and you, like a lot of 22-year-olds, you took that out, and when you were in college, because I don't know why, Victoria's Secret just has us all in a chokehold in our early 20s. And let's say you run that up and you're not able to make the payments. And so they charge it off. So they sell the debt to a debt collector. And the debt collector, let's say you have $1,000 on that credit card. The debt collector may purchase that debt for like pennies on the dollar, for $100, let's say. So now they've paid $100 for a $1,000 debt note that they can then pursue you for. So as long as they get their $100 back, they are going to be in business. They are going to be happy. They don't want us to know that. But so this is where you have some negotiation leverage. If you're able to call your debt collector, call the people who own the debts now, and see if there's any way that you can negotiate to settle the debt for less. And when it comes to your oldest debts, I would order your debts from newest to oldest, and the oldest debts I would least prioritize. When they calculate credit scores, when the credit bureaus do that, the more recent information is going to be weighed more heavily toward your credit score, even if some of that older information is really bad, like charged off credit and account in collections and all of that. So I think it's always best to prioritize your newest debts first, even if that means you have to pay less on those older accounts. You can also reach out to a debt relief organization. You can listen to a recent episode of our show where we had a representative from National Debt Relief, which is a debt relief agency, who joined us and really helped talk about how debt relief works. And you can check out their website, and I'll post a link for you in the show notes, and you can check out their website and see, is this the right fit for me based on my debt picture? At the very least, you can get on the phone with a debt counselor. I don't think at your, point here, you want to spend a lot of money on a financial advisor, because I think that honestly, it's just a budgeting and debt payoff challenge for you right now. And you can get that kind of help through a counseling service like National Debt Relief. You can also go to the National Foundation for Credit Counselors. I'll post a link to that as well. And they can also help give you, because again, I don't have a lot of your information. There's so many questions I would need to ask to really help you understand, which debt to tackle and in which order. But going to one of these counseling agencies and getting some help there is really important. I also want you to be really careful, because in your state, you're financially vulnerable right now. You have a lot of debt. You feel shame around the debt. And that is when scammers, and not even scammers necessarily, but some organizations or people, credit repair companies, for example, people may come to you and sell you a bill of goods like, oh, I can fix this. Oh, don't worry. I have all the answers. Pay me this and I'll get this all taken care of. And I don't want you to get scammed. Okay. So I really want you to vet the organizations before you work with them. And if it's too good to be true, double, triple, quadruple think before you leap. Look them up. Check out their Better Business Bureau ratings. Check out the Trustpilot ratings. And BAFAM, if you have that in the situation and you recommend any service to E, you can email those to me, brandambitionpodcast@gmail.com, and I'm happy to pass those along to you, E. But I just want you to be really careful. And at the end of the day, you and that baby and your health and happiness are what come first. Okay. At this time, you want to really avoid lifestyle inflation. And this may sound painful, especially if you're comparing yourself to the version of whoever you think you ought to be at 29 years old. And maybe for you, that's I have a house with a white picket fence and a nice lawn, and my baby is playing around in the sprinkler in the backyard in the summertime and running up and down the block with neighbor friends. And that's this wholesome vision that you have. But the reality may be that you are living with family to get that additional support right now. Childcare is so expensive. And if there's one thing I could do differently, it would be never move as far away from my family as I did in my early 20s. Obviously that helped me in my career in so many ways, but as a mom, it's bullshit. I'm just going to say it. It's not smart. It's terrible. It was a bad financial decision. It was a bad mental health decision. It was a bad relationship decision because when you don't have family support, like it puts a huge burden, it puts a huge strain on your relationship as a couple. So yeah, I think that and I've just made it a priority to visit my family more and to bring them here more to, to counteract that reality that I have that we don't live in the same state. So I would say humble yourself and recognize that this is just a point in time. You're still so young. You have so much time ahead of you. In another 5 years, this could be all behind you. The bad collections could be falling off your credit report. Your little baby is still going to be a young kid, and then you can afford, whatever you want to get for them. You want to give them the life that you want for them. But at the same time, I just want you to remember that your happiness is really important. And you have to be clear on what you and your family, the family that you're building, like what are you going to value? And how do you want your financial choices to align with those values? What do I want the year to look like for me and my family? And what do I want to value this year? This year, I'm going to be valuing paying down debt and getting a debt plan. And every financial choice that you make has to sort of be made through that lens. I am working toward financial freedom. And that means that vacation, those Cowboy Carter tickets, the swim lessons, the summer camps, the extended daycare hours, whatever it may be, the shake, rattle, and roll baby classes, or whatever the F, like that you may need to put those on the back burner because your value is financial freedom for you and your family. And when you angle it that way, when you shift your mindset in that way, that may help you feel a lot more at peace and confident and proud of the choices that you're making, and tune out all the other garbage, all the other noise out there. Even get off social media, I would say. Just give yourself space from the comparison trap and find other mothers, families that are maybe in a similar position to you and support one another. Because I promise you, girl, you are not alone, E. You absolutely are not alone. And even if you think other people have it all figured out, maybe they've even been where you are or they're in the same situation, but find people you trust to support yourself, to support you on this journey so you don't feel so alone, and to remind you that you are a great mama and you are not your mistakes. You are not your mistakes, okay? You still have a huge future ahead of you, a bright future. You can get out of the situation. So you totaled your first car, you didn't have insurance. Oops, okay, that was a huge mistake, but it's over now. What version of yourself are you today? And can you just forgive baby E? Can you just forgive her and put all that shame to bed? And now kind of like look at her and say, okay, baby girl E, you made some choices and now we got to like put our big girl pants on and get this under control. But I still love you, girl. We had a time, didn't we? We had a good time. And I'm in the driver's seat though now, okay? Baby girl, you're in the back seat. It's in the past. I'm driving. I'm looking ahead now. And we'll get through this together. And I just want you to think about that. And hopefully that helps with your mindset and helps reduce a lot of the suffering that you're having right now, that you're self-inflicting because you're ashamed and maybe embarrassed of those choices that you made back then. Okay, E, I just really appreciate your question. I'm sending you a big mama bear hug from New York, and I wish you all the best. Will you please update me? And also, happy birthday. Why didn't I say that? Happy belated birthday. You are, you're going to look back in like 5 to 10 years and be so proud of yourself for what you overcame. And one of the best things about getting older is that the mistakes you made in the past get smaller and smaller and smaller, and the sting of shame dulls and almost goes away, especially if you do a lot of mindset work around that and forgiving yourself and self-love. And I hope that for you, but it's going to take some time and, some work. But again, I think it's work that is totally worthy and necessary so that ultimately you can focus on what matters most, which is having a beautiful bond with your baby and giving them the only thing that they really need, which is you, your love, and your time. Thank you, E. And thank you, BA fam, for listening. Again, if you want to leave a question, send a question, you can email me, brownambitionpodcast@gmail.com, or hit me up on IG at brownambitionpodcast. And maybe your question will be answered on the show. By the way, tell a friend to tell a friend. Share the show. Tag us on social media. If you loved an episode, I love when y'all take screenshots and then you post them to your stories and give us a tag so that we can reshare them. But just share it with someone in your network who you feel like, okay, this person also needs to hear something positive, optimistic in these dark times that we're in right now. And you want to bring them into the BA fam. You are welcome. Thank y'all so much. All right. Have a great day and we'll see y'all next week. Bye, BA fam.